Iran could be next as well, because remember, Iran is a major oil producer and a founding member of OPEC. So there are a few reasons why. Remember, there have also been worsening relations between the United States and Iran, like Srinjoy mentioned as well. Recently, we also had US launching attacks on Iran. Iran also has a long history of close ties to Venezuela. Now, at a time when the US has intervened in what has happened in Venezuela, taking the president to the United States, Iran also has close ties to Venezuela as an anti-US ally. The country is also witnessing widespread protests, similar to what we have seen in Venezuela as well, where people had been protesting, people had been unhappy with the regime. There is economic crisis in the country as well. And adding to the speculation, the US President Donald Trump has also hinted at some form of intervention. Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader has rejected the US pressure, even as right groups report a sharp rise in the arrests following days of unrest triggered by the soaring inflation in the country. Let's also talk about the warning that has come in, because Trump has said that second Venezuela strike is possible. And this is what we mean when we say we don't know what will happen in Venezuela next, because Trump has gone on to say that there could be a second Venezuela strike if the government does not cooperate, which means that Venezuela has to toe the line that the US wants it to. Otherwise, there will be intervention again. The US president going on to say that the United States might launch a second military strike on Venezuela following the capture of President Maduro if the remaining members of the administration do not cooperate with his efforts to get the country fixed. Trump's comments to reporters was made aboard the Air Force One, and it has raised the possibility of further US military interventions in Latin America, suggesting Colombia, Mexico could also be facing military action if they don't reduce the flow of illicit drugs to the United States. These are all claims that have been made by Trump, going on to say, Operation Colombia sounds good to me. This is how he trivialized the same, going on to say that Cuba, which was a close ally of Venezuela, also looks like it's ready to fall. Listen in.
Cuba is ready to fall. You know?
Yes.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
Marco Rubio has really had your ear, it seems, throughout this entire process. I know that the Vice President Vance was just down the street when this whole operation was playing out, but would you say that Marco Rubio has your ear more than the Vice President right now?
No, they both do. No. JD's very smart and doing a great job, and so is Mark. No, both.
It sounds like
I would say equal.
The go-to, and you were just talking about Cuba and what could come next there. Are you considering U.S. action in Cuba?
We're not. I think it's just going to fall. I don't think we need any action. It looks like it's going down. It's going down for the count. You ever watch a fight?
I have.
They go down for the count. And Cuba looks like it's going down.
Srinjoy, Rishabh continues to stay live with us. And Srinjoy, you know, this is Trump being Trump, the way he speaks. But he is also the president of the United States. And often these words are also followed by military strikes. And that's why it's concerning. And look at the language that is being used. Operation Colombia sounds good, saying Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. What are the consequences of these statements by the president of the United States?
This has been happening from the time he took over. On the 20th of January, we are almost getting to 1 year. Let's not forget that on the first time he spoke, he said, well, we gave away the Panama Canal and we are going to take it back. That hasn't happened as yet, but he made that very clear. He spoke about Greenland, and now he's really extending his looks at other countries in the world. Cuba is ready to fall. Now, Cuba has had a history with the United States. We are not talking Bay of Pigs now. We are not talking the missile crisis of '62. At that time, the Soviet Union existed. It was a serious nuclear power. At that time, Cubans were an ally of the Soviet Union. The world has changed. since 1991. So that's not something Trump has forgotten. Now, these are threats. And Colombia, clear threat. Cuba, another threat. Venezuela, we don't know what is going to happen. But all these statements apart, if military action has to happen, it will probably be again in Venezuela, because he wants the Venezuelan government to do what he says. So we have to see what Vice President Rodriguez does or says, because she has said we will protect our oil resources. Now, is that something Trump is happy with? Did he do all of this and get Maduro out, and then hear from the Vice President and interim president that she will protect her country's oil resources? Is that what he wants to hear? So if this is not something he's happy with, then a second wave is ready.